You're watching F1 2022 Technical Analysis, brought to you by Aramco. Lawrence Stroll has shelled out hundreds of millions since taking over what was then called Force India in 2018. But since turning into Aston Martin Racing at the start of last year, the team has failed to get the expected results, with back-to-back 7th places in the Constructors' Championship. That's well short of what was hoped for. Becoming Aston Martin was the start of a 5-year plan to turn the team into a title contender that has shown little sign of paying off on track. Despite a good recovery after the terrible start to the season in 2022, team principal Mike Crack admits a clear step needs to be taken next year. But there are reasons for optimism. That's not least because in May 2023, the team will move into its brand new state-of-the-art factory located adjacent to its current site opposite the main entrance to Silverstone. According to the team, it's a game changer, and Crack believes it will be the best facility in F1. But he would say that, wouldn't he? However, it is a landmark for the team, and one that, in 5 ways we'll explain in this video, marks the real start for Aston Martin Racing in F1. 1. Cost cap efficiency. Not only will Aston Martin have the newest headquarters in F1, it will also have one that is conceived for the cost cap era. Aston Martin is operating on the cost cap, so it has been able to spec up its new F1 campus for the era of budget controls. This is hugely significant, as while F1 teams have always benefited from efficiency, the fact that you can't spend more than your rivals means there's an even greater premium on making every dollar and cent go as far as it can, especially with the cost cap baseline figure dropping to $135 million in 2023. The new factory is not only configured for maximum efficiency and practicality, but it's also a smart factory. That means every aspect of production can be tracked, analysed and refined. According to Technical Director Dan Fallows, this is the key difference over and above any increase in equipment. That, combined with the improvements in production capacity, and there's more on that later, means Aston Martin should be able to operate at the level of efficiency needed to run at the front in F1. 2. The human factor. While F1 is a technological sport, teams ignore the human factor at their peril. Whether that's the driver at the heart of the car, or the hundreds or even thousands who work to make it, it's also a people sport. There is enormous enthusiasm for the new factory, particularly among those who have signed up for the regular tours of it as it's being built. Wander around the main building, as the race has done after being invited to take a look around, and you can see why they can't wait to move in, even though it's still some way off being complete. The team's management believes that this has already boosted motivation, and Fallows suggests that the benefit the team will get once the staff have moved in will counterbalance the disruption it causes. Add to the mix the location, with wildflower meadows, scenic ponds to provide rainwater runoff, and the Silverstone-shaped running track in the grounds, and it should be a vast improvement as a working environment. While you might ask how pleasant surroundings will make the car any faster, anything that helps improve the human performance can only have a positive effect on track. 3. Improved production, more upgrades. The new Aston Martin facility features a significantly increased production capacity, which means 2 things. Firstly, parts will be produced more quickly, and secondly, a team that has historically been dependent on outside suppliers will be able to make far more itself. All in all, that's a massive gain in terms of efficiency, meaning it's also beneficial for the cost cap. As Fallows says, the capacity to go from design to having parts made quickly is a key differentiator setting apart the big teams. It's an area where his old employer, Red Bull, has long pushed the boundaries. Crack suggests this could equate to 1 or 2 upgrades more over a season. That's an imprecise measure, but it illustrates the benefits of taking full control over your own destiny in terms of producing the car. Aston Martin will still take its gearbox and rear suspension from Mercedes, but the team says it's open-minded about taking this in-house in the future, and it's something that, in the longer term, the new factory could allow it to do. Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can Aramco continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How. 4. Serendipitous interactions. F1 teams are all about ideas, and one of the best ways to spawn these is through the interaction of staff. That's something that's limited by the fact the team is currently crammed into a small and ageing facility. The main building of the new factory has a large, open-plan design office on the first floor. At the centre will sit Chief Technical Officer Andy Green and Technical Director Fallows. As Fallows says, this should increase what he calls the serendipitous interactions that he says can often be the most creative conversations. What's more, it will also allow personnel who are currently separated from the design office but connected to the process, some of which are now located in separate modular buildings, to be part of that. This may be an intangible and unquantifiable benefit, but it's something that will help the team. 5. A state-of-the-art wind tunnel. Aston Martin originally didn't intend to build a new wind tunnel. That's because F1 was concocting plans to ban wind tunnels in the early 2030s, meaning it could continue to use the Mercedes facility in the interim. But with support for the F1 wind tunnel ban waning, Chief Technical Officer Andy Green made the case for building one, and Lawrence Stroll signed the cheque. The result is Building 3. This will house what Fallows describes as a state-of-the-art wind tunnel, which is scheduled to be fully operational in the middle of 2024. That means the new wind tunnel will have an impact on the 2025 car. That's for the all-important 5th season of Aston Martin's 5-year plan. The quality of the aerodynamic data Aston Martin gets from the wind tunnel will clearly be essential, but Fallows also points out the value of having access to it whenever it wants. While F1's ATR regulations limit the amount it can be used for car development, Aston Martin will also be able to conduct other experiments in it not directly related to the car, but that could improve their understanding of how to get the best out of the wind tunnel and build its knowledge of the underlying science that's used to design its cars, something that Fallows describes as invaluable. With wind tunnels set to remain a key simulation tool for F1 teams for the long term, once Aston Martin has its new facility up and running, it should be giving nothing away to its rivals. So the question is, will all this be enough for Aston Martin? In itself, no, because while a state-of-the-art facility is a prerequisite for sustained success in F1, it's not a guarantee of it. There are still question marks hanging over the team, which must still prove it can avoid the fate of previous megabucks operations that failed to achieve the results in F1. And there are legitimate question marks over the continued presence of Lance Stroll, son of team owner Lawrence, in the driver lineup, given he's proved to be nothing more than a solid F1 driver. But for the reasons we've explained, it is a key step in the evolution of this team from its roots as a plucky, overachieving underdog into, potentially, one of F1's big beasts. Thanks for watching F1 2022 Technical Analysis, brought to you by Aramco.